Hello, we'll start in about 5 minutes. That's 6:30 North Stonington time.
Is there volume? I don't see one. I don't know what this start video is. No, I don't want that.
I said, this is such a behaved crowd. Thank you for being so quiet. We're not even quite ready yet. Okay, so why don't we start? First, thank you all for coming out. I'm glad it wasn't a night we had a snowstorm. I'm Bob Carlson, the first selectman. I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about the process that brought us to where we are tonight. On this topic, should the town partially fund the Wheeler Library renovation project in the amount of $1 million? That's the question. The process began a while ago when the Wheeler Library came to the Board of Selectmen and told us that they had a $4 million renovation project that they were proposing, and we were going to ask the town at that time for $2 million. Since then, the library has gone back and got a new grant, and now they've got a grant themselves, which was $1 million. Now they have a grant for $2 million, so therefore they're only going to ask the town for the $1 million. There's been a precedent set on this. Back in the 1990s, the library did a major renovation of windows, and that was about a $750,000 renovation, which the town then gave them one-third of that, $250,000. So this has been done before. After the presentation, along with, excuse me, the process, like I said, the process began a long time ago when the Board of Selectmen listened to presentations, had multiple discussions, and at the time we voted 2-1 to send this to the Board of Finance for a financial review. The way we voted on it was to not to exceed $1 million. As we started talking to the Board of Finance and realized that there'd probably be some funding and some interest that would be accrued, we thought we'll change our motion, which we did, to $1 million, not to exceed $1 million plus interest and associated fees. So we changed that motion and went back to the Board of Finance. So now it's gone to the Board of Selectmen, it's in the hands of the Board of Finance, and they've had multiple presentations and discussions also. And what they've done is they decided that they wanted to hear more from the town of North Stonington. So rather than vote to send it back to the Board of Selectmen to call for a town meeting and then eventually a referendum, what they decided to do is ask for a public hearing so they can get more feedback from town and see how does the town feel about this ask by the library. And that's why we're here this evening. So what they'll do is, as you're listening and hearing more about the library presentation, and you're hearing from the Board of Finance on possible ways we can finance this as a town if this is approved, the boards are also listening to you to find out how the town feels about this particular project, and as far as funding the $1 million that was requested by the library board. What we're going to do, after tonight's meeting, what's next? Goes back to the Board of Finance, and the Board of Finance actually has two choices. They can decide that they think this is not a good project for the town, and they can deny it at the Board of Finance, which means it doesn't come back to the Board of Selectmen. If they pass it, they vote and pass to send it back to the Board of Selectmen, we will send it to a town meeting, and there will be no voting at that town meeting, at least on this subject. We'll send it to a referendum for the town to vote. Tentatively, right now, the town meeting would be scheduled. It has not been scheduled by the Board of Selectmen yet, but tentatively scheduled for March 2nd with a referendum on March 16th. Those are both Monday evenings. As far as tonight goes, I'm not sure how many speakers we'll have, but it'll probably be quite a few. Plus, we're going to have speakers online. We're going to hold you to 2 minutes to make a comment or ask a question. There's been a rumor flying around today that Judy Main, who's sitting right here, has a taser to tase the speaker. But that is just a rumor. It is not true. She did not bring a taser. We have a mute button for the people online, so we're already safe over there. But please come and say what you want to say, pro or con, ask a question. And after the library does their presentation, we're going to ask Mike Anderson from the Board of Finance to do the presentation from the Board of Finance. So when you come to this podium, and if you want to make a line, you can when it comes time, you can ask a question about the financing and or the library project itself. And we'll toggle back and forth with John to let me know how many people online want to ask a question, and we'll go back and forth for the people online and the people here. So if there's no questions at this point, we're going to start. So we have Kane Paranto, who is the president of the trustees, the Board of Trustees. Diane Deedy is the director of the library, and the assistant director is Emily Noyes, and they will be doing the presentation for the library this evening. And thank you.
Hey, can everybody hear me? These microphones are new for us. Okay. Hi, thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Emily Noyes, and I'm the children's librarian and the assistant director at Wheeler Library. And I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to talk to you all tonight about this project in our town's public library that I love so much. Along with many library staff, board members, and people in our community, I've been working on this project for close to 5 years when it was just the seed of an idea. In that time, we've enlisted the help of experts in architecture, library renovations and construction. We've been granted $2 million from the state library for our project. We've held multiple successful fundraisers and worked to secure contributions from private donors who believe in this project and the impact that the library has on this community. I absolutely love working at the library. My husband and I have lived in town for almost 20 years, so we're newbies to some of you, and have two boys in our wonderful school system. And it's been through my role as children's librarian where I've met so many of you, cultivated relationships, and watched babies grow into children, school-age children. But as much as I love the library, the old girl needs some attention. It's a constant challenge to offer excellent experiences and programs to the children, teens, adults, and families in this town because of the issues that come along with a 125-year-old building. We've made some necessary changes and improvements limping along since our last major improvements 30 years ago. But now is the time to do what needs to be done for this building, and I can't wait. I can't wait to have climate control throughout the building so we can offer a comfortable space for the community to learn, play, read, work, and gather together year-round. It means a lot to me that our new heating and cooling system will reduce our carbon emissions dramatically, making our building both efficient and environmentally responsible. I can't wait to be able to say to the next person that calls for a conference room, a study spot, or a place for a committee meeting that, yes, we do absolutely have a space for you. I can't wait to offer multiple spaces to middle and high school students who walk over after school to the library or between school and sports to spend time in this beautiful building. I can't wait to have walkways that connect the front and the back of the building with ease, so parents using strollers or those in wheelchairs or difficulty navigating the stairs can enter through the back safely with an improved rear entrance and added parking in the front. I can't wait to offer patrons an additional restroom on the second floor so they don't have to travel down the many stairs during an event, concert, program, or presentation. I can't wait to show a film, a slideshow, or a sporting event, meet with an author via Zoom or Skype, or offer a presentation without pulling down a rickety screen from the ceiling and wheeling out a projector that plugs into the floor. I can't wait to walk through the front doors to a beautiful and welcoming entrance that ushers us into a main level that is just as beautiful as the grand second floor room. I can't wait to work in a library with a moisture-free lower level, fully usable year-round, as well as worry-free parking areas that don't collect water and ice, causing unsafe conditions for our patrons. And the list goes on. Improvements made to our antiquated HVAC system, air quality, and drainage will address problems with the building that we've been managing for the past decade and plus, such as moisture in the basement, late night boiler issues, and canceled programs due to excessive heat on the second floor. But none of this is possible without a renovation. We aren't adding to the building or changing the things that we all love about this town treasure. We're making necessary improvements to ensure that this beloved building and what it means to our community serve us for another 125 years. Now's the time to approve this project. We have been so successful in securing funding for 3/4 of the project, and we're asking the town to take us to the finish line by voting yes to funding the remaining quarter of the project. If we're not able to move forward with this renovation, we will have missed out on an amazing opportunity that will not come around again at this scope and at this value. The state knows this project is necessary, valid, and important for the town of North Stonington. They have demonstrated this by granting us a $2 million towards this project. So please, when the time comes, vote yes to support this project. Thank you. I'm going to introduce Kate Parento, Board Director of Wheeler Library, to give us a little bit more information. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Emily. Hello, I'm Kate Parento, President of the Wheeler Library Board of Trustees. I want to thank you for coming out tonight to learn about our important renovation project. Before Diane begins our presentation, I want to share news that we ourselves only learned about this weekend. A federal appropriations bill was signed into law that includes funding for Wheeler Library. This grant was originally applied for in 2024, and we are awaiting details on this grant. This is wonderful news for our project. However, it's important to understand these federal grant funds are specifically allocated for the replacement of the elevator and ADA-related improvements to the front entrance, Improvements that are not included in our $4 million project scope that we are presenting tonight. We had planned to fund the elevator and entrance improvements through grant money and separate fundraising, and that is what this federal grant is intended for. Tonight is about the town's commitment to the $4 million project, which we'll present to you this evening. The Wheeler Library is a major asset in our community, used by residents of every age all year long. Please join us in a commitment to preserve and strengthen our asset for the long term. Outside funds are important, and we've worked hard to seek them out. Support from our town is just as critical in the success of maintaining what belongs to all of us. Again, thank you for coming, and we look forward to telling you about our important and timely renovation project and how you, the townspeople, can support our project by voting yes on the referendum. So now I'm going to hand the presentation over to Diane Deedy, our town librarian, and I'm going to scoot.
Can you hear me? Great. Thank you, Emily and Kate. Good evening, everyone. My name is Diane Deedy, and I am the new director of Wheeler Library. I am thrilled to join the staff of Wheeler Library at one of its most exciting times in its history. And what an amazing history. For the past 125 years, Wheeler Library has served the North Stonington community, first as a school and library, then as the town's public library. Now, most people think public libraries are only about books, but that isn't true. Public libraries are about people. We are the community center for the town that offers free materials, programs, and space to community users. We offer library cards to residents, and we serve the greater community of Eastern Connecticut. For 125 years, our doors have been open and welcome to all. Now, I'm sure you have many questions about this project. Why now for the renovation? What will be changed? What is the cost? Will library services continue during this project? We will be answering all of these questions tonight, and we have handouts for you to take with you. As Emily mentioned, our 125-year-old building needs several upgrades. While our library offers much for our community, we are facing the constraints of dated systems and spaces. The renovation committee has been working tirelessly for almost 5 years to develop a project that addresses these critical needs. And we are beyond excited to tell you we are almost at the finish line. We are here tonight to ask you to support a town referendum for up to $1 million that will complete our funding goals. We are proud to share with you that we have received a $2 million matching grant from the Connecticut State Library. In addition, we have fundraised, held events, and committed monies from our endowment to raise another $1 million. We are here tonight to present our project to you and to ask you to support town funding for this project. What will this renovation do for Wheeler and the community? This project will allow us to expand programs and services within the same building through efficient structural upgrades and space use, while preserving the historical integrity of this beautiful community jewel. We are not adding on to the building. We are improving and enhancing what we have. We are not getting bigger. We are getting better. 3 core elements are at the center of our $4 million project: HVAC replacement, drainage improvement, and activating interior spaces. Let's take a look at each element. HVAC replacement. The current heating system is an oil-burning furnace system that is over 30 years old and is on borrowed time. It needs replacement due to age. And as a dated system, it leaves a large carbon footprint. During summer months, Air conditioning is only available on the main level. It does not exist on the upper floor of the building, preventing usage of that level during summer months, which is a waste of precious space. We cannot use the upper floor during the hottest summer months. It is unbearable due to heat. Our lower level also lacks air conditioning, which causes moisture buildup, leading to damaged library books and an unhealthy building. Through our architect, we have engaged with a leading engineering firm to identify a new heating and cooling system for our building. The system chosen for our building is a state-of-the-art, all-electric air source heat pump with low carbon emissions. Lowering carbon emissions is a value we embrace and is in accordance with future standards the state of Connecticut is moving towards. Increased use of the building and lower carbon emissions are key benefits of this new HVAC system. In addition, ventilation in the building will be significantly improved, making for a healthier building. Next is improved drainage. Moisture is deadly for libraries, causing damage to precious resources and materials. Wheeler, unfortunately, has suffered flooding, both major and minor, many times in the past. Drainage improvements are critical and the need to be addressed. We have had a civil engineer design a drainage system that improves the grade surrounding the building, allowing water to flow away instead of towards the building. A system of underground trenches will be added, which will allow water to properly drain and disperse. And last, parts of our gutter system will be redone so that water is properly whisked away from the building, protecting the structure and materials of the library. Reduced moisture will protect the building and preserve precious library materials. And finally, activating interior spaces. The third core element of our project is to activate interior spaces in our building so that we can better serve our community. Did you know that last year alone, we offered over 200 programs free to our patrons? Programs that foster growth and learning throughout the year, such as story times for preschoolers, cooking programs, garden instruction, and even digital services, just to name a few. We have a very active library and want to build on this for our community. A complete list of programs held in 2025 is available in our handout packet. Demand for our programs and space use by the public grows on a daily basis, despite being limited by dated spaces and layout. Our renovation includes adding a large meeting space on the first floor that will be available to both staff and the public. This meeting space can be used for programming, meetings, training, and a private workspace. We also plan to reconfigure the rooms in the lower level around a flexible design that can accommodate more meetings, teen space, and address space needs held by all our community users. Finally, the second floor will have an ADA compliant bathroom, which will be very convenient for people, especially when large groups are gathered for a program or an event. Our plan is to activate the interior spaces in our building, making each area as flexible as possible, allowing for every age group and every constituent of our town to use our public library according to their needs. Needs such as holding a private meeting with a business partner, finding a comfortable space to do remote work, partnering with the school to offer auxiliary learning spaces, and bringing teens to our library for social gatherings, as well as comfortable spaces to hang out. Now, one concern that many of you have voiced, rightly so, is will this renovation change the historical integrity of our building? The answer to this question is no. In fact, one of our top priorities is to enhance the historic beauty of our town treasure. Some of this will be accomplished by raising the ceiling on the first floor to reveal a top row of windows that have been hidden under the drop ceiling for decades, and to enhance the character of the first floor in keeping with the legacy of the historic architecture of the building. We are coming to the town with a request to invest in this project, up to $1 million. We have worked closely with our architect, construction consultants, and many subspecialists to develop a realistic current cost estimate for this $4 million project. We come to you tonight to ask our town to support the library so we can continue to best serve our community for decades to come. During this renovation, the library will continue to be open thanks to the town of North Stonington. We plan to have a temporary library set up in the former high school, and we also plan to host programs such as story time, yoga, and more in various venues throughout the community. During this temporary period, we will have the opportunity to grow outreach and participate in the community in a new way. Imagine the changes this project will bring to our library and town. Educational exhibits on display for the public during summer months. More school visits due to flexible meeting spaces. Better access for the disabled due to improved facilities. Stronger outreach programs for the community. The ability to sign out a private meeting space, and all in a building with upgraded heating and cooling, and a property with improved parking, pathways, and improved drainage. With this renovation, the possibilities for how we access this town asset are endless. The time to do this work is now. Like any homeowner knows, maintenance is critical to keeping ahead of bigger future problems. It only gets more severe, more expensive, and more expansive the longer you kick the can down the road. The time is now to give our beautiful town library the upgrades it needs to best serve our town. Help us continue to keep our library the very best it can be. A vibrant, engaged town treasure that serves every person in North Stonington. Having worked in libraries for 5 other Connecticut towns, I can tell you that I have never seen such dedication and community spirit as I have seen in North Stonington. This was one of the reasons why I chose to apply for the director's job. And I am proud to say I work for one of the most amazing town libraries in Connecticut. I believe the strength of a public library is the strength of its town. And with your support, our library can continue to grow and serve all patrons. Together, we can shape the legacy and the future of North Stonington. Please say yes to support this project. Thank you. Thank you.
Check, check. All right, we just need a minute or so to get our presentation up. I guess I can start while they're getting that ready. I'm Mike Anderson. I'm the Board of Finance Chair, and I'm really proud of our board. I'm here with Dan Smith, Lou Gingerella, Paul Johnson's here, Renata Berdine. I get messes her name up every single time. And I'm sure that there's other members of our board online, but we're happy to be here to present to you guys. And as Bob mentioned, you know, we are here mainly to hear from you. We know that this is a big financial ask, and as he mentioned, we will this will take us back to our next meeting, which is on the 18th, to discuss what's been talked about tonight in this room and online, to determine if we're going to send this back to the Board of Selectmen to call a town meeting and thereafter a referendum. So what we'd really like to hear tonight is, do you want to see this go to a referendum to have a chance to vote on it? It's a very important aspect of tonight's hearing. All right, so as the library just mentioned, they have a total $4 million cost on this project. They've raised $1 million through their own efforts and through the use of their endowment. They have been awarded the state of Connecticut grant for the $2 million. It's contingent upon them securing all the funding for the project, which would require up to $1 million to be approved by this town for that whole grant to be finally solidified. So they are asking up to $1 million from the town. But as Bob mentioned, you know, we've been having many meetings on this subject since the library first approached us, you know, in the last year and a half, 2 years. And you know, and we've been talking about how would we fund something like this in the best manner for the town to, if the town wants to do this, we have decided which way should we go to fund it. And so we looked at municipal bonding, which is, you know, not normally done on a loan this size. And so that is really not something we're looking at. Option 2 is for the entire $1 million project to be funded in this fiscal year coming up. That would, for this ask, it's a 1.08 mil increase using the projections that we have right now. And I'll get into that in further slides. But it would save the town any interest on a loan if we went that route. Option 3 is we have talked to local banks and we're able to get an unsecured loan. It's an unsecured loan because the town doesn't own the asset. But it would be, you know, yearly payments, no prepayment penalty, and it really allows for a lot of flexibility. But of course, the town would then have to pay interest, and that's why we're stressing it's a $1 million ask, but there'd be interest associated with that loan, and there'd be some costs associated with closing that loan to begin with. And it's just important to stress, if you know, we certainly feel if the town wants to do this, and we hear tonight that they want to go to referendum, it's going to be done by referendum. It's not going to be a town meeting where we just vote, you know, everyone that attends votes. Town meetings, we don't allow voting online, so you'd have to be in attendance. It's too big of an ask to do that, so we will have a referendum if that's the way we go. So option 2 is funding this entire ask in fiscal year 26-27. Now, next slide. It's important for me to point out, this is for demonstration purposes only. This is a spreadsheet that the Board of Finance uses every year when certain parameters are determined after the budget is determined in March and April and May. And there's several things here that there's one thing, the first thing that we always start with is the net grand list. That's up on the top left of your pack of this particular slide. And the net grand list we just got from the assessor. As everyone knows, we had a revow, and I'm sure that that's very heavy on everyone's mind as well. And believe me, we're cognizant of it. But the net grand list is 935,919,296. So that's the pot that we're able to draw from to pay for all the expenses that are in the budget, the Board of Ed budget and town government and capital. And if all the stuff that's on the right column, for this demonstration purposes, I'm using all of the other revenue sources besides the grand list from last year's budget. So that's static from last year's budget. Also, the estimated budget, the 23,255,333, is last year's budget. So if you want to see how the net grand list increase after the revow, if everything else stayed the same, we have all the same revenue from the state and interest that we get on all the money that we have in our accounts, and then the budget expenses stay the same. You see the mill rate without Wheeler in the bottom left is 19.41. Our present mill rate is 28.88. So that's the starting point if everything else stayed static. If you add the $1 million in for the Wheeler loan payment or the Wheeler ask, that takes the mill rate to 20.49. That's a 1.08 mill rate increase. I also asked the assessor what is the median household assessment after this year, and that's 292,590 is the median assessed value on homes in North Stonington. If you wonder if that sounds low, you got to remember your assessments are 70% of your appraised value. So it's around $418,000 house. That's the median going in North Stonington now. So I use that number because it's based on the data that we have. So someone who has that assessed value at the mill rate of 19.41, you move the decimal place over 3 spots, so it's 0.01941. It's $5,679.17. At 20.49, that same assessed value would be $5,995.17, which is $316 for that particular taxpayer if we paid it off in this one fiscal year. Okay? And you see that on the next slide. It's just, so when you bring these home and we'll have them probably, available for people to look at on their town site. Again, 1.08, you have a $316 one-year increase in your taxes. What about option 3? Option 3, we have available an unsecured loan at 5.8% interest from a local bank. The Board of Finance does not want to go past 10 years on a note. So this is an amortization schedule Thank you, Lou. That would show you what year one would look like. So you make a principal payment of 100,000. There's interest on that 58,000. So your total for year one is 158, and you see how it goes down from there. The main point is we would pay 319,000 in interest over that 10-year period. So that's why Bob mentioned that he changed the ask to up to $1 million plus interest and costs, because you can't do that without incurring that interest. Next slide. So same spreadsheet that we use, same grand list, same fixed revenue, fixed budget, with a Wheeler loan payment for year one of the 158,000. And there's always a variance because you always have to stay in the black. So it would take 19 so you, again, 19.41 is your starting point. That's if there was no payment. But if you had the Wheeler loan payment of 158, it's 19.58. There's a difference of 0.17 mils. Again, going back to what, can you go back to the other slide, please? You have that assessed value of 292,590 at the 19.41 mil rate, 5,679.17. At the 19.58 mils, it's 5,728.91. It costs that taxpayer $49.74 next fiscal year. And it would go down from there because the interest payments get lower and lower each year. So again, this is just the breakdown of that crazy looking spreadsheet, so you can see what I'm talking about. Again, $49 increase for first year and decreasing every year after. Next slide. We have another option. This is just a semi-annual payments. When we make 2 payments per year, it's still a 10-year note. We make 2 payments and the interest is lessened by doing that 2 payments. We do it probably every January and every July or August. And the interest on that's $304,500. So we would reduce, about $15,000 of interest if we went that route, which we probably would do. Next slide. We have, as many people know, we have an undesignated fund for our town, as do most towns. And it's there. We have a policy. The Board of Finance has a policy. It's for unforeseen events. Mother Nature comes and takes out a bridge. We'll have a major loss of funding from the state or from, for other acts of war or whatever. That's what it's there to make sure that we can pay our bills. And we have a policy, as you see at the bottom of that undesignated fund, that we don't want that fund to go less than 8.5% of our annual expenditures. So we wouldn't want to get that fund less than 57,000 and change. We also have a maximum policy because this is your money. It's all of our money. And we don't want to hold more than what we feel is adequate to protect ourselves. And as the great Dan Spring said, it's also there to show that we have fiscal responsibility when we go out to the debt market, that we have a healthy fund. It's like having a savings account, it helps with the banks look at you and you say, hey, you have plenty of money in your bank. So that 17% is our ceiling. It's $4,115,000 and change. And presently, in that fund, we have 4,620,000 and change. So we are actually at 19.09%. And a lot of that came from last year when we had, I think, more revenue than was budgeted for, and on both the Board of Ed and the government side. And so we have a policy that says when we get above that 17%, you know, we have a year to decide what to do with it, but we do want to get it back down to 17%. And right now that the difference to get it down to 17%, if you go to the next slide, is roughly 506,000. That would take us to our 17%. So one of the reasons why, you know, the loan situation gives us the most flexibility, there's two reasons. Number one, our policy for the Board of Finance, we use this, particularly when we're talking about an overage, there's two things we use it for. We pay down debt, or we drop the mill rate. Okay, that's what we use it when we have an overage. It's not our policy to say, let's just spend the money and take it out of an undesignated fund and give it to an entity. So that's why we went with the loan situation where we know it's going to be on the budget. It gives us the flexibility because we don't know what's going to happen this summer. You know, is that 6,000 going to be there 2 months, 4 months, 6 months down the road? That's why I want to have the flexibility to be able to pay this loan down if this is what the town wants. But we could, in year two, take the next slide, take that 506 and pay it because there's no prepayment penalty on the loan. That would reduce this whole 10-year note down to 6 years, and our total interest is basically almost cut in half. So the loan, the 10-year loan, gives us this option. And we, as the Board of Finance, we look at everything all the time, and if that's something that, you know, this thing goes forward to a referendum and it's approved and we get the loan, we will be looking at that, you know, all throughout the summer. Next slide. So again, the best option that we've decided is to go with the unsecured loan with a local bank, pay the loan off early if able. And the main question is, you know, we moved this funding question to the town. It's your opportunity to discuss and voice your opinion on, you know, do you support the Wheeler Library project? And if so, do you want this to go to referendum? And how do you think we should fund this if you do support the project? So I'm happy to answer questions, or and I know the board will as well. So that's all I need. We need your feedback. So thank you.
So if you could, if you have a question or a comment on either the library presentation or the Board of Finance presentation, you're more than welcome to come up to the microphone, make a 2-minute statement or question. We'll also, if we, John and Sarah, will let me know if there's people online, we can toggle back and forth with questions from online. So I'm not even going to ask your name or where you live. This is a public hearing. So please come up if you'd like to. Come up to the microphone, ask a question if you have one, or make a statement. Thank you.
Yeah, I know I only got 2 minutes. Oh, let me see my notes. Brian Rathman, 263 Grindstone Hill Road. I'm a supporter of the library's ask. It seems to me they want a commitment from our town for $1 million. They already got, they're putting in $1 million of their own dollars. There's $2 million the state says they will put in. See, the third one is us. Us, the public. Wheeler Library, one of the beautiful buildings of our town. One of our forefathers thought ahead and said, I'm going to build a building, a school, Wheeler School and Public Library. And he did. He put up his own money. He may have had fundraising. I have no idea. I wasn't alive then. But we have an opportunity right now to support this man's idea. It's not a rebuild, tear down. It's an improvement. Now, I'll tell you a little story that usually everybody thinks I'm against everything. That's wrong. That's totally wrong. My mother and father told me when you go look at finances, you look at both sides. You're going to hear, oh, how wonderful, how great. But look at the other side. And that's what I try to bring out to our town, the other side. So I'm not against it. I just want to make people aware of what's going on. I'm already 2 minutes. I'll say one more thing. The spirit and values that were put in the Wheeler Library from Mr. Wheeler. We have the same opportunity right now by voting to support the Wheeler Library's $1 million ask at a referendum, separate from a vote of anything else, jumped on that thing. And I think it's important that our town supports it. Thank you.
My remarks are unprepared, so you'll have to bear with me, please. First of all, I'd like to congratulate and commend the Wheeler Library. There, is that better? I would like to congratulate and commend the Wheeler Library staff for a fantastic job that they do. I think that the Wheeler Library is the diamond in the rough here in North Stonington. It is absolutely gorgeous. My family has many positive memories. My father went to school in the late 40s in the basement of the Wheeler Library and was educated there before we had our current school system. So outstanding. And I'm going to start by answering or trying to answer the two questions I think you guys are here for. First, does the town, or in this case, I'm going to say, do I support the Wheeler Library renovation project? Absolutely. The next question, and if so, in what manner should we finance the ask for the Wheeler Library? I do not believe the town should finance the Wheeler expansion at all. I don't believe that taxpayer dollars should be used for things other than what they originally were, people expect to pay taxes for. Infrastructure funding, roads, public safety, education. Those are the things that when I pay my taxes, I expect my tax money to go to. And while there are many, many worthy things out there, the library being one of them, it's something that we should, as individuals, make our own choices if we want to contribute to things or not. I would be happy to write a check for the renovation program. In fact, I wanted to attend the community table, which I got in the mail the other day. But unfortunately, when I went to get a ticket, they were sold out. Well, not unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately. but I can still contribute in other ways. But I think people should have that opportunity. I mean, you're basically asking people to write a check, in essence, for $300 to $500, every person or every household, I should say, in North Stonington. You know, and so it's a big ask for people. I guess my 2 minutes is already up. And so again, I just, you know, if it was for affordable housing or many other wonderful things, I'm all for these things, but I just don't think it's the town's business to be picking and choosing which worthy charities we should be giving taxpayer money for. Keep the taxes to pay for the town function of government, and then ask people to donate for the things that they want to support. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ellen Maloney. I am here to ask you to please support this project with our tax funds. I have lived in North Stonington for 12 years with my husband, and we came here after our children had already grown and weren't living with us anymore. So we didn't have the school system to meet other people in town, and the library has done that for me. I belong to the book club at the library and have for a few years now. I belong to the North Stonington Garden Club, and we're doing a year-long collaboration with the library where we're doing a program every month. I have brought my grandchildren to children's programs here, the toddler yoga, the story times, craft projects. I just feel like Wheeler Library is such a gem, and we need to support it. So I would ask the town to please vote for this project and support the renovation of Wheeler Library.
So I have 3 little kids. We go to the library every Saturday as much as we can. I'm very much in support of this program, having seen the building and infrastructure. So I encourage everybody vote yes. My next question, well, Board of Finance's question was, do I feel we should support this? The last gentleman, who made excellent points, I actually strongly disagree with. I think the library supplies education to the town for those of us of all ages. I actually frequently take out nonfiction books to educate myself there, and I think having space will allow us to further expand community. My question is, as we move forward with this ask, I would like to see the numbers associated with your third example here, option number 3. I like how you broke out, what it would cost up front in 1 year. But I would like to see an estimate of what this loan would cost us over 10 years out of our tax. So I know the mill rate of 0.17 is what you put in here. So just moving forward referendum-wise, if we take out that 10-year loan, what would it look for the taxpayers over that 10 years? And if we same with the unsecured, not unsecured, the slush fund, the undesignated fund. If we did that in year 2, what would it look like the overall cost to the taxpayers would be? Thank you.
I'm not sure I completely understand the question. So, sure, yes, please.
Yeah, I'm just curious, over the 10 years, how much is that going to cost the average taxpayer? So if we pay it all up front in 1 year, the estimate, the average would be $350,
$40, $350,
Yeah.
give or take.
So what, at that smaller mill rate, what are we looking that decreases over the years? So it would be a calculation.
It would turn in the first year, it would be, by these calculations, roughly
$49.
$49 in the first year.
Right, and
And
over
then
10 years, that
It
decreases.
keeps going down because the interest payment goes down with the loan. So in this example, you'd start out at $49, $50, and by the end of the loan, you'd be down to pennies.
So cumulative. Will that be the same price as if we pay it up front?
No, no, it would not. It'd be, we're incurring the interest cost in order
Correct.
to do that.
So I'm just saying that overall, it might
Mm-hmm.
be helpful to hear that as the taxpayer. If we take that hit in 1 year versus how much will it cost us over the 10 years?
That's the trade-off. If people want to absorb that kind of an increase in their taxes for 1 year versus spreading out the costs over 10. Although I will point out, I think there's quite a bit of support on the finance board. We'll start out with that 10-year loan. But what we're looking to do is to use part of the undesignated fund to make a substantial payment very early on in the loan. The amount we show here at 500, but so that would have a very big impact on how much that would cost. And we wouldn't be limited to just doing it that one time. As we go forward, if the undesignated fund continues to stay at a healthy level, we can apply additional funds from the undesignated fund against the loan, lowering the interest cost. And that's the flexibility that Mike talked about that we get from doing a loan rather than just paying it all at once. And that's got a value.
That really does. Thank you. That explains a lot. Thanks.
Jennifer online with a question. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Jennifer Dayton, Ruderman Road. I don't have children living with me at home, but I do have a 94-year-old father living with me. And I can tell you it is absolutely necessary to upgrade the back entrance, especially for wheelchairs, as well as the parking. And it would allow us to attend the wonderful concerts on the upper floor. I have attended all the fundraisers of this library, and I really believe it is the best asset of the town. So please support the project.
Hi, my name is Melissa Mowry. I'm a resident here, and I'm also a librarian next door at Wheeler Middle High School. I'm a writer too, so I wrote something to share. I have always believed that libraries have a certain kind of magic to them. They're some of the last places on earth where people can gather together to socialize, learn, and create without the expectation of financial output. They offer their community members, from the very young to the very old, the opportunity to learn anything and everything they desire, from kombucha brewing and social psychology to small engine repair and dog training tactics. They foster political activism and civic engagement, providing a gathering space for community groups to meet and share ideas. They are staffed by hardworking, community-oriented people who at any given moment play the role of researcher, book reviewer, event planner, travel agent, and tech support specialist, sometimes all of these at once. Often a librarian's job is to teach us what we do not yet know and remind us of what we have already forgotten. A couple of months ago, I was sitting on the main floor of Wheeler Library doing some work when a young boy came up to the desk. Kim was sitting behind the desk checking in a stack of books, which she set aside when the boy approached. "Hi, Ben," she said brightly. "How are you today?" The boy explained that he had recently learned a new song as part of a homeschool study. "Want to hear it?" he asked. He began to sing "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald" by Gordon Lightfoot, and within moments, Kim was harmonizing along with him. I sat and listened as the two of them sang the chorus together. And then as Kim explained the history of the song to this boy, how the ship was weighted down with too much steel, and how sadly all the men on board perished when it sank. In that moment, I was watching the very magic of libraries in action. What the average person doesn't see, however, is what happens behind the scenes in order to preserve that magic. The hard truth is that libraries are often cobbled together with tape and bits of string, and that the money that's supposed to buy beautiful new books and comfortable chairs is also the money that's needed to fix the HVAC system and salt the parking lot and repair an aging roof. These elements of a library's budget are not glamorous, but they represent important pieces of the support system that undergirds the whole operation. Without the practical, the magical cannot exist. We're at a critical crossroads right now. Our library needs us, its community, to step in and help protect what we can't afford to lose. I believe a town's health is tied directly to the health of its schools and its library, which serve as the community's primary hubs of learning, social engagement, and civic involvement. These institutions are shaping the future of North Stonington, helping educate its citizens and reinforcing our community-wide values. To me, there is no work more worthy of our collective attention and financial support. It's time we step up and do what we did for our schools, for our library. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Addie Richter. I'm 18 years old and I'm a senior at Wheeler High School. For the last 3 years, I have dedicated multiple days after school and each Saturday to the Wheeler Library. I've been an employee and it's the best job that I have ever had, the only job I've ever had, and the best job I will ever have. To not fund this library and its renovation is to not fund an institution that has supported our community and will continue to support our community for years to come. It was the first place that I came to when I moved here 12 years ago, or 13 years ago, and I've loved it ever since. To speak on behalf of the community, I've loved being able to communicate with patrons and be able to recognize them. That was one of the most influential aspects of my job to me. And I wrote college essays on it because it's just such a critical part of who I am now. And to not fund it would be a really big detriment to our community. And I think everyone who has never been into the library should come into the library. And they're renovations that really matter. Anybody who has not had the pleasure to shelve books in the middle of July upstairs should really try to. It's a task that you will not be able to do for more than 10 minutes because it gets so hot up there. Thank you, and I encourage everyone to vote yes.
Linda online, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Linda Coates, 108 Wyasip Road. It was a great presentation. I thank all of you for your time and your effort. I support everything that Emily, Kate, and Diane said in their presentation. Brian, I even support you this time. Our library is now the center of our town. It's not just a place to check out books. If you haven't gone online, please go online and see everything that is offered. You will be amazed. The calendar is full with clubs and crafts and interests and educators and speakers. And there's so much for everyone, from the littles to all of us older people. This is a one-time ask. I support it. My husband's family has been here in North Stonington for generations. And I'd like to think that they would be proud of what is happening right now. This building is a treasure. I think it is our responsibility to preserve its history while bringing it up to current standards to support today's needs so that it will continue to serve our community for generations to come. Thank you.
Paul online, if you want to go ahead with your comment.
Hi, my name is Paul Simeone. I'm at 204 Wyasop. I'm also the town treasurer. So I have a couple of questions. Hopefully you folks can hear me. I guess I do support everything the library does do, and I do support the renovations the library is proposing. I guess my question is, we have a $23 million budget, and we're looking to pay $50,000 a year on $1 million loan. If I because I'm online, I just quickly saw the slide and tried to jot down a couple numbers. I guess my question is, can't we squeeze $53,000 out of the budget of a $23 million budget? Th- that would be, I guess, a question to the Board of Finance. You don't have to answer that now, but I'm just thinking out loud about that. And I guess my other question, couple other questions are, I understand this is the library, they're really important to the community, but what would happen if this was a presentation from the Little League or the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts? How would we be addressing this? Is it fair? I mean, would we be addressing this? Would the town be addressing it in the same way? Would we be, uh, is it fair to support the library, maybe not support other organizations, or now are we setting a standard to support organizations via the town budget?
Paul, you have 15 seconds.
And my last question is, and I don't know if anybody can answer this, since this is unsecured, we would be taking out an unsecured loan. The library can the library take out a secured loan and continue fundraising to support that loan? So those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Well, hold on. Let me, we have 3 questions, so should we?
The question about the budget and whether or not you could, I think the question, Paul, was that couldn't you just fund it with 50,000 from the budget? The grant requires all of the funding to be secured, up to $1 million for the cost for the grant to be activated. So the loan situation is we vote, the town votes, and if the vote is yes, they've got, and the guarantee from the town that they're funding up to $1 million. So it's not something where you can just, all right, we're going to decide to put 50,000 and 50,000 and then pay for it over a 10-year period. It has to be agreed upon by the town that we're giving them up to $1 million. In whatever shape, form it ends up going on after that, we feel the best option is to do a 10-year unsecured loan to pay off that $1 million ask, plus interest and cost. What was the other question? We did that. We did look at that, and it wasn't the interest was going to be sky high, and it just wasn't a feasible option for the library. It just wouldn't happen. We'd end up paying for the loan, and why would we want to pay more interest? Was there one more question?
Yeah. There was one other question that was, what about other not-for-profit organizations that would then come to the town and look for funding? There are a number of not-for-profit organizations that the town already funds and has been doing so for years. It's part of the process. They come to the town, they ask for funds, and we assess the value of those requests as to the benefit to the town. And I think based on what we've seen, or what I've seen over the years, is that we are getting very good value for the support that we give to the not-for-profits that provide services and benefits to the people of North Stonington. So this is a very big ask, but the library is a very big part of the community. And so I think that's why we considered it very worthy of our consideration.
Hope that answers your question. But yeah, there are probably 4 or 5 nonprofits that are on our budget every year. They have to go to the Board of Selectmen to make the ask. they end up on the budget. We talk about it during budget season to determine whether or not we're going to fund them. Some have been taken off, some have been put on. It's a part of the budget process every single year.
The church is in a very their building. We are supported.
Self-professed Wheeler Library enthusiast. I've spent the last 10 years. Sorry. I've spent the last 10 years of my life utilizing the library to supplement my children's childhood. It is a huge piece of why North Stonington ever became home to me, and I will own. Most of my friends are at the library. Part of my I Love Wheeler energy got dumped into an award last year where I spent time seeking out the town's stories about why they love the library. And we sent a 30-page love letter to the nomination committee from every different demographic in this town. Letters poured in, there's over 30 of them. And that secured us the award, telling us that our library is what we all know it is. It's a place that we are served to the highest degree. The history of this library, which people don't know, is that it was given to the town out of love to make sure that educational opportunities stayed in town, and that is the mission that this library has continued to serve. I have watched them tap dance around tight budgets, cruddy building situations, ice in the parking lot, and so many other things to make this a place for all of us. I have seen them dump personal hours into it and many hours into meetings just to get to this point to where they can sit in front of you and ask you to support them back. They have gone above and beyond to gain 75% of the funding for this project. And as it's always been, they've come for us to ask us to love them back. I think they've gone to just far beyond what anybody else could hope them to do. It's time for us to do, in our generation, our part and love them back and secure this so that the future of what that library is able to do continues. Even just fixing the HVAC, make sure that our building becomes 100% usable 100% of the time, immediately making what they can do with that space more valuable to us. We do fund nonprofits. The library is one that we get so much back for our dollar.
Hi, my name's Evelyn, and I borrow books from the Wheeler Library. I met some of my first friends at Storytime. Some of them were Ella, Coraline, and a few others. And we would like the library to be there for other kids so they can have the same experience we had.
Just everybody, when you come up and speak, just get real close to the mic to make sure that everyone online can hear you. Can you hear me online?
Mike, I can barely hear you.
Okay. Well,
Great, if you want to
I
go
can't
ahead.
get any louder. I'm not just.
It's okay. And I barely heard my name. Maybe it is my connection, but anyway, I'll make a quick statement. I'll keep it well under the allotted 2 minutes, but my name is Britt Tella, 54 Billings Lake Road. My mother just retired after 46 years of being on the Voluntown Library Board of Trustees. So in honor of her mission, I fully support the library project for North Stonington.
Thank you. Alexis online, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Alexis Kahn. First of all, I wanted to say that I commend all the hard work and dedication of the Wheeler Library staff and board. They're just such a wonderful group. And I chair the North Stonington Sustainability Committee. And for that reason, I wanted to particularly call out that I think it's very important, the energy efficiency and making the building green, how that's important for our community. So I'm fully in support of the project. And also as just a resident of the town, I feel like it's the library serves as such a community hub and is such a wonderful asset to the town. And I fully support modernizing it to make it available for generations to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, where do you live, lady? She never said what she was supposed to say.
Doesn't have 307 Wyasip Road.
She just did.
Hi, my name is Steve Morris, 24 Wyasip Lake Road. My question is real quick. Whenever a fire truck goes down and I have to ask for a new fire truck, where does that come out of? Does it come out of this same type of form? And I'm for the library also.
It all gets paid for by the taxpayers. One of the things that we've done in tandem with the select, forming a long-term capital budget, and all of those costs are built into the budget over the next 25 years, 30 years. So we have a schedule where we're keeping an eye on equipment that needs to be replaced over time, and it's built into the budget for the next 30 years. So that's how we're able to afford to keep all the equipment up to date and in good order. If there were an emergency, that's what the fund is for. Thank you, Paul. That's exactly right. Thank you for your time.
Amy Kennedy, 70B Burgess Lane. So I'm the former director of Wheeler Library, and I realize that what I want to say is more addressed to the community. This building was founded as a school and public library in the 1800s because there was no secondary school in North Stonington. So they couldn't form a public school, so they started a private school and a public library. A lot of people call it a nonprofit organization, and they kind of, again, throw it in with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts and the Garden Club, but it is essentially a public library. It's the principal public library for North Stonington, and you are very, very lucky that it is actually incorporated and has an endowment so that you do not have to bear 100% of the costs of running a 125-year-old building and the employees that are employed there. So I just think it's important to remember it is your public library. You can call it a nonprofit, you can align it with the Boy Scouts, but it serves every single person in North Stonington with amazing resources. Thank you.
I just told Judy I would be short and sweet. Sherry Tardif, I am an educator in this town, and I have been here for quite a long time. It's heartwarming to see Addie up here because I had her when she first moved to town as a little kindergartner, and just to see her eloquently speaking about her passion for the library, it was just wonderful. But as being here for so long, that analogy that it takes a village, it really does. And yes, we educate in this building here, but we need the library to enhance and to educate everyone in this town. So I just hope that the town does support this renovation project for this amazing building and the history that the Wheeler Library brings, as well as what it brings to us as educators and the students in this town. So thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Haley Davis. I actually moved here shortly before my first birthday, grew up here, left for a little bit, and my husband and I decided to move back to North Stonington to raise our family. And the Wheeler Library was a big part of what made that decision very easy. I remember studying there as a child, going to programs there, and now go so often because I think my son has a mission to try to check out more books than anybody who has ever gone there ever before. It is a wonderful place filled with learning and community. While in college, I did a study on Wheeler Library and learned that it opened as a boarding school that was open to all North Stonington residents for free. As many other towns support their public libraries through their tax dollars, I feel like we need to now support our public library with our tax dollars and give back to an organization that was designed to help educate people of North Stonington. Thank you very much.
Heather Y. online, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hello, Heather Young, 273 Northwest Corner Road. I fully support the library renovation, and as a previous children's, teen, and assistant director librarian, I have been involved in many state grant requests. So I know that this grant took a long, long time to write, and I commend all the staff and all of the board for doing such a fantastic job. I would urge all the residents of North Stonington to support this. And please do not let this $2 million state grant slip through our hands, because it will not be offered again.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ariana Davis. I'm a freshman at Wheeler High School, and I'd just like to say that the library is such a wonderful place. I've had so many childhood experiences at this building. They offer so many different activities and events, and we've gone to as many as we possibly can. As my mom said before, my brother takes out so many books from this building. It's incredible. He comes home with bags filled to the brim, and he reads every single one of them. It's actually probably one of our family's most visited places. We come all the time, and it creates such a sense of community in this town, and I'm so glad that it is available to all of us. Thank you.
Brent Woodward, Yalbucks Valley. My first question is to you folks, Board of Finance. You say on the very last page, the best option here is to go to with the unsecured loan. And I think what you said was that's really option 3B. It was 3A and 3B. And I wonder if that's the case, why it is that you don't want to go to the undesignated fund and take that $500,000 out?
I remember my very first meeting, probably in this room. And I'm pretty sure that you were asking about the undesignated fund at that time to lower taxes. The loan gives us flexibility, meaning that they have the town vote yes. So the $1 million is secure. So the grant is then secure. And then we have an option of how to pay it off. We don't generally just take money right out of the designated fund and put it to something. It's got to be a budget item. It's going to be a line item in this year's budget for capital, just like our school and just like the emergency services building. There will be a line there for this particular loan, and whether or not it's 1 million on that line for fiscal years, this is what we need to hear from you guys, or a 10-year note. And if we decide to go with the 2-year payment option, that's what will be on that line for this fiscal year, and then for however many years afterwards.
So maybe my point is moot. The, when we go to referendum, we're not going to have the ability to select which method of payment we're going to, it's the Board of Finance, you guys. So why should I even ask that question?
Because I want to know. I would like to, if people say we want to fund this in 1 year, we would need to know that. If people say we want this project and we agree that this 10-year note is a good option, and hopefully you guys can use the undesignated fund to pay it down, that's what we need to hear from you guys.
I've looked at that money for years. We're above the 17%. And I'm just thinking, why wouldn't we take that money and get back? We're at 19, let's get back to 17. And it seems like a reasonable thing to do, but I won't take any more of your time.
It's a great question. It's a great question. And
I think it's subjective. Is it, or is it not? Is it just your opinion of that, or is there a black and white reason for that?
Well, our policy itself, and our policy is available on the town website, or you can go watch the myriad meetings that we have that are on YouTube and hear every single conversation we've had about this for the last year. But our general policy is, it's to pay down debt or to lower the mill rate when there's an overage. That's our policy. So you can't lower debt without incurring the debt. The debt gives us the flexibility to, if something happens where we need to spend $500,000 this summer because a bridge blows out, we still have a loan with payments that are here in this handout. That would be what you would be paying every year if we couldn't use the undesignated fund. But your question is valid, and if everybody in the town wrote us a letter and said, just take it out of the undesignated fund, we'd have to consider that, but that's not our policy at this point.
Second thing is the cost, the $4 million. How confident are you folks in that $4 million? Is there a slush fund in that as well? Hopefully, because we all know that the cost of construction is just out of control. Ask people that are building things.
Yes, we're very aware of that. We've been working on this project for 4 years, and we've gone back and cost estimated this 2 times, most recently about 4 or 5 months ago, working with a pre-construction cost manager and our architect. And our $4 million scope for this project is very tight. We also have a contingency in our budget for this within the $4 million. We're very much tracking. It's our goal to not go over budget, but as we all know, as you point out, every month, we continue to, push down the road before we actually have shovels in the ground, so to speak. We know costs are going up. So that means that there's going to be parts of the $4 million project that we're not going to be able to do necessarily. We don't know what those might be, but we are committed to keeping this a $4 million project.
So if you get close to it, you'll do less. Or you'll come back to Mike and the problem's his.
No, this is
Well,
absolutely not.
absolutely
We
not.
vetted that right off the get-go. There is
This has been a
no additional
conversation.
money asking from the town.
Oh, okay, so it's not coming back to us.
No.
But you get less.
Right, exactly.
Thank you.
Don Olson, Wyosip Road. Just wanted to say, from what we've heard tonight and what we already know, what goes on here in town, is that the support for the library is unwavering. It's not really a question of whether we should do this. The benefits to the library are fantastic, and to the people that are going to use it. The question really is, when it comes down to the financing, how we're going to pay for it. Like Brian, often my comments about how things get paid for here in town are misconstrued with lack of support. That's not what's going on. It's always because I too am concerned about the impact that it has on individuals. We have figures that are given to us potentially with a 10-year loan. That means 2 more reassessments of our property. The mill rate gets adjusted, but it's a mill rate, which means the impact to an individual is not the same. We always talk about the average cost to the average house. Well, how many average houses are there? It's a wide range. So there are individuals who are going to pay far more and others who are going to pay far less over a 10-year term. I highly recommend that when this passes, because I'm sure it will, that you continue to contribute, that those who have more money than others contribute more money than others, not assume that the people with money spent and get taxed on what was already spent still have a huge amount of money to contribute because we get taxed at a mill rate on a higher assessment. Thank you.
Mike Riley, North Stonington, 184. This is more or less for a library as told by the Board of Finance. I asked it tonight. I was at the meeting when the contractor was at the selectmen's meeting bringing up the project. $4 million, town putting in $1 million. There's nothing brought up about a generator. I mean, if the system cannot work, I mean, you need something in there. If it was 17 below, like it was this past weekend, and the power went out, I heard a small generator could run the boiler that's there now. What would it take to run the new system? I mean, you sure in heck wouldn't want the pipes to burst after putting $4 million in a place. Or at least I wouldn't. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We have talked about a generator. We've never had a generator at the library for all these many years. But with our new system, which is, if I recall, rated to something like, I can't remember if it's 10 below or 15 below. It is it's a state-of-the-art. Sorry, I'm getting the answer over there. But we talked about when we have the ground opened up for the drainage work that's being done to lay a conduit, so that we will be able to at some point get a generator to hook up to the building. It is not in the $4 million scope specifically to buy a generator and to put a generator system in the building.
Okay, I just thought, that amount of money being spent renovating a building, wouldn't want the pipes to burst on the top floor.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Bueller, 350B Casada Kill Road. And I know the purpose of this meeting is to get a feel of the town if we want to support our library. I 100% support it. And as Diane said, for me, the library is just not about taking out books. It's more than that. I belong to many clubs that meet at the library. I had my daughter-in-law's bridal shower there, my daughter's baby shower there. It's just so much for our community. And during COVID, they found a creative way to keep it open so my grandkids could still, with the story book walk, find a way to still be educated and have fun. 3 years ago, I spoke on behalf of the library, and like Emily said, I can't wait.
Hi, I'm Barbara Deindorfer, and I'm at 334 Grindstone Hill Road. For people who know me, I've been a library patron, supporter, fundraiser, ex-board member. So obviously, from saying that, I'm in full support of contributing the $1 million towards this $4 million library renovation project. I had a big long thing that I wrote out, and I'm not going to say it. What I am going to address is what Mr. Anderson had said. For that first option of average of $319 per year for 1 year to pay this off. I just want to put that into perspective. That's less than the cost of one hot Dunkin' Donut and a bagel with cream cheese per week for 1 year. So when we think about that, I think it's a no-brainer that this library renovation project is worth that. That's it. Thank you.
That's a great point. I just want to make sure, in this handout and what I've talked about tonight, we're talking about what the assessor gave me for the median household assessment. Mr. Olson's point, there are people that had, much higher assessments, people that obviously had lower assessments. That mill rate, you can take what your assessment is and figure out what your tax would be. It could be a lot more than the $317. So, you make an individual choice based upon the information we have. And I have to stress, the mill rates that I put on there are demonstration only. We have a budget to build still. There are revenue questions still that we do not know other than the net grand list. So just everyone bear that in mind. And this is for you to see what the difference would be from that particular mill rate, which may go up or may go down. We don't know yet. So make your educated choices from this information, but it is for demonstration purposes only, and I have to stress that. Thank you.
Bill Ricker, Wyassup Road. As a senior citizen on a fixed income, we see three pillars of this community that must be supported with our limited income: our education, our fire and safety, and the third pillar is our library. As a teenager back in the 1950s, I recall a discussion in our town about building a new library that was built by the town, supported by the town, paid for by the town, including salaries, including their budget. I wish I had the money amount that these 75 years of that town's paying for their library would have cost us had we provided this for the past 75 years. This $1 million or upwards of it is a small amount to provide for the third pillar of this community, which makes us one of the most distinguished communities in this area. We both support option 3. I would have supported option 2, except for the reevaluation. But I do support option number 3, and I hope I will still be here at the end of that 6-year period to pay it.
Excuse me, and thank you for the service. And Norwalk Northwest Corner Road, I certainly support improving the library. It's a great place. I'm concerned that the two money borrowing plans call for spending about 300 and some thousand, or maybe double that if you have a bigger house. Or that it's sort of access to the library, whereas the first one, you might have to put $1 or $2 in the jar every time you brushed your teeth, and you could get it done in a year, and you wouldn't be raising that other 300 and some thousand dollars to borrow money. So if it, $1 or $2 a day for a year doesn't sound like too much of a hardship. But anyway, thank you very much.
Mike Westgate, Old Colony Road. You said earlier that you reached out to financial institutions. I'm assuming to see what interest rates we would get as a town. Is that a correct assumption? The Board of Selectmen did. Are those rates, or do we know if those rates are locked in? And if they are locked in, for what, how long? 30 days. So post haste would be a pretty good way to get this done. And I'm assuming that's what's ushering this process along. 6 months to close. And so that kind of sets our timeline moving forward as far as the referendum goes as well. Is that a fair statement? Thank you very much.
So I was asked to read this for Heath Dugas. Unfortunately, I had to leave before public comment. Rather than risk being repetitive and telling you all again what a treasure the library is to our community and risk being tased by Judy, thanks for the warning, Bob, I'll keep it brief. We are asking for up to $1 million toward a $4 million project that is 25 cents on the dollar for a building and an institution that our town has relied on for more than 120 years. We are simply asking the Board of Finance to allow taxpayers to decide through a referendum. We hope that they agree the voter choice matters. Heath Dugas.
Easy being me. Anyways, I don't know how many people know, but we're in a school right down, and this land used to belong to the library that they gave to the town. How much is that worth? I look at the ask. It's like 25 cents on a dollar. What other organization or other thing came to us to ask for something like the fire company or the school? How much did they put in? And that's the important part to me. And you want some guidance? You'll never hear me say this again, probably. I'd like to pay this thing off in a year so I can say I had a part in it. If you take, I know you said 319, but I'm just going with round figures because I'm not as math whiz, but for $360, if you go $30 a month, well, what can we give up for 30? I can find $30 a month somewhere. I think everybody can. So I'm an old timer. I don't like to give up my money, and you know how I like to hold on my wallet. And I will, but I mean, I can find the money to support this in 1 year. I'd like to have it done and over and let the library continue on to service like they do. Way up yet. Holy mackerel, good, I can finish up. I'll give you the little story that changed my heart. I was a little kid when I first went in that library. Well, I went in there one day as the old guy I am, and I saw a little kid. He came out of a room with his mother. And that little kid, he was beaming. He looks at his mother and he says, "Can we come back here?" You know why? Because it wasn't structured to where he had only a certain time limit. He could expand his mind, and he had fun at our library. So thank you.
My name's Chris Anderson. I have to admit, Michael's my brother, so I'm biased. My wife Marietta's on the board, so I'm biased. So the only thing I'm going to say, I have a comment from Mr. Ferricari. The difference between the Boy Scouts and other nonprofit organizations and stuff, and why don't we fund them? This is a service that we have in our community, and we have very little services in this community. We don't even have a center, like we don't have a, I don't know, Main Street to walk down. But we have various services. We fund those services. I think that this deserves to be funded. The only thing that I would ask that everybody consider
I've lived here for 30 years. I've watched two major projects, a major project of fire department and a major project at the school. And every single time it took us so long to vote it on that we always got less than we deserved. Just get it to a referendum. Let's vote on it and let's get this thing going.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions that can't make it up to the microphone?
I'm Pat Lewis, Boombridge Road. I have a couple of questions. One of them is, after these renovations, right now we give $100,000 a year to the library. Is that going to increase after this renovation?
The question is, in the budget for the last several years, there's a line item for operating expenses that town contributes to the library. It's presently 100,000.
Yep.
And the question from Pat was, will that increase?
It went up quite a bit in the past, like 6 or 7 years, up
Yeah.
to 100,000. Is it going to increase after we
So
make all these changes?
I'm going to answer that. Our strategy has been to get our library funded toward our operating budget at the same rate that other towns fund their libraries. So we have been asking for an increase every year, working toward getting funded at the same rate that other towns with comparable libraries are funded. So that has been our strategy, and we have the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance have increased the amount of, as you said, over the last, I think we started asking for increases about 10 years ago. And it's been wonderful to have this support from the town. We have recognized that because of this project and with how big this ask is, that it's probably not the time to continue with that strategy for increasing our ask for the next few years. So that is also our plan, not to ask for an increase over the next few years, based on the fact if we get the funding from the town and then we have our project, that we understand that it's probably not a good idea to ask for more money toward our operating budget.
Well, I guess I'm wondering, is it going to cost more to maintain it? You're going to put in this HVAC. I don't know if you're going to have another backup besides the HVAC, but that should be more efficient. But you're also going to have air conditioning upstairs, so that will be more costly.
Yep.
And parking. I don't. You talked about additional parking. I hope you don't ruin the front of the building, because it's had that character for 125 years.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can keep it that way.
So just to answer the question about the exterior, we don't have any, as you heard from our presentation, any money in our $4 million project to do any work on the exterior, with the exception of improving the drainage and improving the parking. But our goal is to eventually enhance the exterior spaces, which will have to be obviously separate completely in terms of project and fundraising. But just as we made an intention not to change the historic nature of the building inside, it's also our intent not to change the beautiful exterior as we all know it to be.
Yeah. So I went to the library when I think I paid for every school in this whole town because I've lived here for so long. But when we were in elementary school, we didn't have public libraries, so we used the library at that time. But I'm disappointed when I go in there, there's hardly any books. This function you just had, you took all the books, you put them in the basement, and a room the size of what the kids play in. And I said, where are all the books? The books are gone.
Well,
I mean,
the books are still there, but they have been relocated. You're right. And we did that temporarily. And the reason we did that was because as a pre-construction.
I know, but there's just, I don't think there's enough books, period.
Okay.
I mean, just keep getting rid of the books at the
Well, then
library.
let's do some fundraising, and get some more books.
It actually is the same amount of books, pretty much. They're just, the books were just relocated into a smaller space, so I think it looks like less, but they just were relocated into a kind of tighter space.
Mhm. Well, it's a library, and I just think there should be books. If something ever happened where digital went away or there was a war and everything shut down, nobody would know how to do anything or make anything.
Well,
because
we have
there's
no
books.
intention of having fewer books at all. And I wish that people could see the books that go out every single week. For interlibrary loan, we process bins and bins of books, our own and others from the libraries that we belong to in a consortium. So books are our business. We're not going to get rid of books.
Well, I'm very fond of the library. My father graduated from the Wheeler School and Library in 1935 and walked to school from Fox Falls. And we've been residents in the town forever. And so I hate to see the character of it go on, and I hope that any wood that you take out of it, you hang on to and it doesn't disappear, because it just cannot be replaced.
And I can also address that in 2021, Wheeler joined the Lion Consortium. It's a consortium of over 40 libraries and so now our residents have access to over 2 million books from other libraries that we regularly get on a weekly basis.
And then my last thing was I just worry about other big expenses like a new roof on the school, to make sure we have enough money besides funding this library. I don't know, I haven't made a decision whether I favor it or not, even though it's part of my history. Thank you.
I just want to address every year when we go through budget season, the library and any other department makes their pitch for what they're looking for each year, and there's going to be a public hearing that the budget's going to be made available to people this year, next year, and forever, as long as this board is still in operation. And if there are asks that are not wanted by the town, that's your time to talk about it. If the library came in 5 years and wanted 150,000, and you said, what about that 1 million we gave you? That you have an opportunity to tell the Board of Finance how you feel about those asks this year and next year and for years to come. So it's always part of the process, and they got to get past us before it gets to you.
Hi there. I just want to say I'm Ashley Jones, Kingswood Drive. Just want to say that I fully support this project. I think that Wheeler Library is a very important part of our community. My son grew up in this library. He graduated from Wheeler. He's 21 years old now. I do think there's some validity to looking at fixed incomes for those who can't afford. And I like the idea of a 10-year personally, 10-year loan. I like the idea of that personally. Certainly for those who are on a fixed income. So, yeah, thank you.
Are there any more questions online or in person? Mr. Carlson?
I want to thank you all for coming tonight. You should be proud. I watch the news and I look at some of the other towns, and this is such a well done, well behaved, not yelling, not screaming, and it's a question that could be contentious. I mean, there's people in town that do and don't want projects when they come in front of us, and our town demonstrates this all the time. I saw one of the other towns just voted whether they should have signs allowed at a public meeting or not. I think it was Groton, actually. Could they have signs or not at a Groton town meeting? And I'm thinking, we didn't have to ask that question. We just behave. So I just want to thank you all for being the wonderful people you are, the residents you are. Make our jobs that much easier, because we know that we're not going to have these contentious, crazy meetings that some of these other towns do. And I think it's a testament to who we are in the town of North Stonington. I want to thank you all for coming. If we find out from the Board of Finance on after the 18th that they will move it back to the Board of Selectmen, we will call a special meeting to call a town meeting, which again would be probably Monday, March 2nd, followed by a referendum on March 16th. Thank you all. Be careful driving. Watch the ice.